Man.
This is not a good case for English feedback.
When Derek's first case falls apart,
I smell conspiracy here.
it's up to Jake to pick up the pieces.
Lots of food.
No, he's going undercover.
It's William Conrad in Jake and the Fat Man, and all I can tell you is he's not Jake.
Will he go?
He's not Jake.
You arrogant little punk.
Next.
Where's number 9 when you need him? There's number 9 when you need him. 2-minute drill leading us down the field for a touchdown over Jake and the Fat Man. Yeah, you right, Drew Brees. Thanks for that introduction. Corey Johnson back at you. Jason's at the controls, pushing buttons, turning knobs, sliding dials, fielding your phone calls, and the like. By the way, speaking of phone calls, the Rouse's Markets phone lines are always open. 504-766-9480. 766-9480. Coming up in about 12 minutes, Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry will be joining us on the program around 4:20. I've been very skeptical of the entire Six Flags endeavor, the process that the city threw out there. I don't blame Troy Henry. But boy, Troy Henry, Bayou Phoenix, the winners, Drew Brees, Demario Davis, the runner-ups for this project. I don't know about you. I had slightly higher expectations for the site, like Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's. By the way, I don't hunt and fish. I wouldn't be visiting that location. I don't go to the Bass Pro Shop or the Cabela's outside of Baton Rouge. Have never stepped in a Bass Pro Shop in my life. It's like Buc-ee's. I've been in one of those once. Will never go again. I'm not against Buc-ee's. There's nothing there for me. I don't have a family. I'm not traveling on the road. Hey, the kids want to go to Buc-ee's, brisket off the block, beef jerky. Then there's nothing for Buc-ee's for me. Nothing. I'd have to be running out of gas, and I'm not knocking Buc-ee's. It doesn't attract a single male like me. I don't hunt and fish. All my friends probably, shouldn't say all, more than half of my friends hunt and fish. I reap the benefits, especially the fishing part. I get the fish without having to go fish. New Orleans and Louisiana, it's the sportsman's paradise. I'm not knocking hunting and fishing one bit, but I won't be going to the Bass Pro Shops or the Cabela's if it was out in New Orleans East. Flying J truck stop, I don't drive an 18-wheeler. That doesn't interest me personally one bit. It's not about me. It's about the city. It's about New Orleans East in desperate need of a leg up. And in typical New Orleans fashion, it's a blessing in New Orleans in this situation to be black. Because black folks in the East are embracing Troy Henry and Bayou Phoenix, hoping and praying that this is the thing that turns New Orleans East around. They have no idea what they're basing their hope on. Except I think, number one, they desperately want a black person to succeed in bringing back New Orleans East. That's of vital importance. Me, I don't give a crap. Black, white, yellow, doesn't matter. Green is what I'm concerned with in New Orleans East. And here's another one. I don't live in the East. Why me, a white guy who hosts a radio and television show for over a couple of decades now, have been pounding this New Orleans East lack of development, lack of leadership, lack of political leadership, lack of direction, selling out 80,000 people that live out there. I mean, basic vanilla services aren't readily available in the East. There has to be a solution. Oh, don't want to invest in the black neighborhood. Too many black neighborhoods in the United States of America where major outside investment exists. It's like there's a force field around New Orleans East. Everything we hear about, Lowe's redevelopment, Mackey Studios, Six Flags site, Lincoln Beach. I mean, do you want me to keep going? Never comes to fruition. I'm the biggest proponent publicly for New Orleans East, and it's not even close. have been talking about this for a decade plus, so a little skeptical. Again, I don't blame Troy Henry. He's the one that, hey, this is the process. I'm going to go for this. And he got it. More power to him. Less power to the city of New Orleans for not marketing the property nationally, hiring an outside company to go after the Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, the Flying J truck stops, the Buc-ee's, everything and anything that would fit that spot. Wide world of sports, these, Field of Dreams, these AAU fields for kids and families to bring them in from the region. They have companies that do this, all of this. So no, New Orleans, in my opinion, as a New Orleans native, I've got a little experience in this. We like to lose. We like inside deals. We don't want to win. No one even thought, let's market this nationally. Let's hire an outside company to push this pretty coveted corner, I-10 and I-510, right outside of a major U.S. city. These sites get developed by default with major folks, major players investing in these sites in other metropolitan areas by default. There's a major metropolitan population. There's X amount of money there. This site sits right outside that metro area. It's on not one but two interstates. Anyway, we'll visit with Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry in less than 10 minutes. They could be signing a lease by the end of the month, having access to the site, maybe even demolition starting within the year. Where in the summer, they're talking about demolition in the next quarter or so. And I believe Troy Henry's folks were saying in 4 years, maybe some kids playing on these sports fields, which just seems ridiculously long to me. We'll visit with Troy Henry coming up in a few minutes to find out everything you need to know about the Six Flags site, Bayou Phoenix. Hey, by the way, the 4 o'clock hour brought to you by Leidenheimer Baking Company. Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread, New Orleans French bread, 5 generations. They use that same time-honored process, baking that signature loaf with the crisp crust, delicate center, so good, reheating in the oven. Are you kidding me? It's like it's fresh baked coming out of their, bakery in New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop. Over 125 years, Leidenheimer, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer French bread. Since 1896, Leidenheimer Baking Company. 4 o'clock hour this afternoon, brought to you by Leidenheimer Baking Company. Ed Michelle mentioned this last week on the show when he joined us. His evaluation of the Plaza Tower released about 13 minutes ago. Evaluation of Plaza Tower and enforcement of minimum property maintenance code. The owner of the Plaza Tower, that was what was mentioned in the letter. Never Joe Yeager by name. It is Joe Yeager. Ed Michelle and the Office of Inspector General basically saying from 2015 to 2021, the city has not used the power it has, just minimum property maintenance code violations, minimum fines, hundreds of thousands of dollars. The OIG report even suggested maybe the district attorney get involved, like there could be criminal. Joe Yeager, owner of the Plaza Tower, Ed Michelle, releasing an evaluation of the Plaza Tower enforcement and minimum property maintenance code just a few minutes ago. Des Moines Register, NBC news poll, 5 months till caucus day, January 15th in Iowa. Donald Trump, 42%. DeSantis, 19%. Tim Scott, 9%. Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, all around 5-6%. Trump at 42%, DeSantis at 19% in Iowa. Interesting story. Metairie politics, Jefferson Parish politics. I used to work for Greg Buson over at Fox 8. Who is Jefferson's Parish's most political influencer? It might be Newell Norman, radio talk show host, a major player. Cynthia Lee Shang, that's her campaign manager, ran her campaign. Newell is a major power player. Harry Lee was before him. Joe Lapinto, although like Newell and Harry Lee with that law degree, more of a pure sheriff, less of a politician. I don't think Lapinto likes the political part like Newell Norman and Harry Lee seem to embrace it. But an interesting article, Jefferson Politics, and some races. We'll talk about that as well. Coming up, Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry next.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" He said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. River Cities Total Maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot. Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Ooh, Lord, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer. That's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread. Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you each and every day. This program on radio, television, live streaming, CoreyTalks.com, our website. You can check us out on YouTube, The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson. It's always brought to you by the Lamarck Automotive Complex in Kenner. And now Lamarck Crescent City Ford on Jefferson Highway. That's right, the legendary Ford truck dealership in the city for nearly 100 years. Crescent City Ford on Jefferson Highway, now under the Lamarck umbrella. Every day, this program brought to you by the Lamarck Automotive Complex. And now Lamarck Crescent City Ford on Jefferson Highway in Elmwood. He's the Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer. The main guy, Troy Henry, joins us on the program again. Good afternoon, Troy. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Corey. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Same old stuff.
Good.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. This site in the east, this Six Flags site, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a process that's been significantly longer than we ever thought it would be. But we're a determined group. My team is a determined group, and we just believe in the project so much that we've just endured, and we'll continue to endure all of the challenges that come along with it, because we think the rewards outweigh any of the challenges that'll try to impede our progress. So it's been okay, though. We'll be okay.
Hey, Troy, do you do any work with any other municipalities in the country besides New Orleans?
We have, sure. And, if you recall, before I started Henry Consulting, I actually ran the water system in about 16 different municipalities around the country. So I'm pretty familiar with how most of them operate, and we're a little bit different here. Let's put it that way.
That's what I was getting at. I mean, you kind of knew going in that, okay, City X, I may have to, it's not even hurdles. I may just have to go through the process of doing X, Y, Z. In New Orleans, it's X, Y, Z and hurdles, moats and fires. And you got a lot of stuff to dodge. I mean, and I'm not kidding. There's so many developers that just throw in the towel and go, you won New Orleans, let's go to Nashville.
Yeah, well, if we weren't local, if my partners from TKTMJ and, my company, Henry Consulting, weren't local, we would probably have just gotten frustrated and packed up and left, just because of the inertia and the challenges that you have to undergo in order to get something happening. So, but because we're here, and this is a passion project in many ways, not only, but it's also obviously a business opportunity. And we also kind of knew going in that there would be challenges. We didn't know where they would all be, but we knew they would be, because we've all dealt with the city and other endeavors. So, we just have to weather the storm.
Now, there is a passion for you. You live in the East, right? You live at Eastover?
That's correct. I can look out a couple of the windows in my house and still see some of the Eastover property. I mean, the former Six Flags property. So, yeah, it's, and my neighbors, we all talk about it. It's just, unsightly blight. That's 18 years, going on 18 years that it's been in existence. So, yeah, we'd like to get it, behind us and turn it into that negative into something positive. So that's what we're going to do.
You also mentioned you're a businessman. I mean, you're, I don't know. I know you a little bit, not very well. We're not like tight. We don't call each other and talk about stuff, but I know you a little. You know me a little.
Sure.
I see an individual that's motivated more than most, that's focused more than most, that's entrepreneurial and kind of a go-getter. And you seem like you'll take on anything in a lot of ways. If money can be made and a business that's viable can be made. I mentioned the airport, Louis Armstrong International.
Yep.
They had a janitorial contract. Mm-hmm. They failed. The board had to get rid of them. Instead of going to another airport type janitorial company, they went with Troy Henry. Now, from what I can assume, you didn't have any airport janitorial cleanup, experience. But again, I don't think this is like reinventing the wheel. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started up a company and you guys clean Louis Armstrong International Airport now. My point being, similar to this project in the East, maybe this isn't, pun intended, in your ballpark, but you see it's not rocket science and you guys can run with it. Is that accurate, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's fair. At the airport, for example, we what we do is we have a staffing company, and the airport decided to go, instead of going with a janitorial contractor, to take the functional responsibility in-house. And as a result, our job was to staff it properly. And so we've done that and turned that site from one of the worst from a janitorial and cleanliness standpoint to this been deemed on 3 occasions now the cleanest airport in the country. It wasn't rocket scientists, and we partnered with the airport, and they had some consultants come in as well, but it was our team that had to execute and implement it, and it's worked out. From a development standpoint, we've built other properties and other developments, whether it be, one of my gas stations or retail properties and things of that sort. So we had some idea of, the development process, but nothing on the magnitude of the Bayou Phoenix project. But my partners from TKTMJ, they've done a lot of real unique developments where things that most people can't do, they figure out a way to do. And that's been the beauty of working with TKTMJ, is that they're very innovative, and they were committed to New Orleans East. They just built that tower out at on Lake Forest Boulevard, 16-story, the tallest building in New Orleans East.
Yeah, they looked at that kind of retirement home.
Yes, their retirement center. It's now fully occupied as well, and 3 other developers that tried and failed, and they stepped in and did it. So they're real smart guys, and it's been a real pleasure working with them. And we just had to put our heads together and remain committed, but also remain innovative in ways that we can accomplish this objective,
Hey, Troy, I mentioned this before with you on the program, and you even kind of acknowledged the understanding of it, but you're like, hey, it is what it is, and I won the contract.
Yeah.
Would Troy Henry, if you were responsible for the Six Flags site, would you have marketed it like the city did, locally only? Like the runner-ups were DeMario Davis and Drew Brees. It's comical. I got to laugh.
Yeah.
Would you have marketed it the way it happened, or would have you marketed it nationally, this coveted site?
Well, it was marketed nationally. The problem is there had been so much poor credibility and damaged credibility with the site that not many of the national players even had an interest anymore because of all of the different fits and starts that had occurred previously. So people knew about it as I've gone out to conferences. I talked to many people about the site, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're aware. Oh, you guys are the guys that won it, okay?" But they were aware of it. They just didn't believe that it would ever get this far, let alone actually become reality. So, New Orleans credibility isn't the highest around the country. So, it really took a local team with the capabilities to really kind of begin to pull this together.
Do you get? I want to continue talking about this. I'm just on a side note. Do you get kind of ticked off when you go to like a Nashville or an Austin and see what they're doing, and the culture of New Orleans, what we have naturally, and these other places don't have any culture like we have, yet they thrive? A buddy of mine sends a photo from Nashville, and I reply back just all this venomous stuff. He's like, dude, it's me and my wife. What's your problem? I'm like, the 11 cranes in the background of the photo. That's my problem. And he understood. We laughed about it, but
sure.
I was mad. I wasn't like, great, glad y'all are having a good vacation. I'm like, look at the damn skyline behind you.
Oh yeah, true. My daughter went to medical school in Nashville.
Oh, so, Vandy?
At Meharry Medical College there, so I'd go and visit her and her husband, and it's frustrating. And now she's doing a residency in Chicago, and you go to Chicago and you just see things are just booming in these places. And, and you know what our potential is. But look, I don't look back. I ran for mayor twice, so the city and the residents sort of made a decision on what level of growth and what level of leadership they want. I respect that. And so I'm just doing my part, my little corner of the city, trying to make it a little bit better with this project and the other projects we have going on.
You're a better man than me. I don't respect it.
Well, even if you don't respect it, it is what it is.
Oh, no, you're right. There's no doubt about it. But boy, New Orleanians and Louisiana folks, just this infatuation with black, white, Republican, Democrat, failure instead of success. We care more about Saturday night in Tiger Stadium and Sunday at the Dome than we do about Austin and Nashville, Troy. Those are cities that are just kind of blowing by us. You know what I mean? So those weren't peer cities, and now they're about to blow by us. No, they're like playoff teams, and we're the 1-in-15 Saints, you know?
Mm-hmm. But, hopefully we can turn it around,
Yep.
I just got back from Mayor Cantrell's husband's viewing, so my condolences to her as well. So
Yeah, that's a sad story. 55's way too young. That's ridiculous.
Yes, indeed.
You and I are barely older than that.
Yeah. So it's a little scary.
You got me by a little bit, but that's about it. But
sure.
Still, no. I mean, if that's just 55's way too young. That stinks. No, and then the venomous crap online. I mean, I don't like this mayor as the mayor. That's just me. But the people attacking somebody that lost, a family member. People are sick out there, man. Politics are one thing, but real life, someone losing a life, and these callous remarks online. People
I don't pay attention to that stuff. I'm not online.
Smart.
Most of those social media stuff. Their opinion of me ain't none of my business. So I just go about my business.
No, that's good. That's you're not missing a damn thing. Hey, Troy, when we come back, I want to talk about this lease and maybe access to the site by the end of the month. Troy Henry, Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developers with us. Don't move.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
For over 20 years, serving healthy, fresh, authentic Middle Eastern cuisine, Lebanon's Cafe. In the Carrollton section of Uptown on the streetcar line, Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. to 9:30. Lebanon's Cafe.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex, there's something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We're doing all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Welcome back. Monday afternoon. Corey Johnson with you. You are on the neutral ground till 6 o'clock. Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry's with us on the program. Troy, you guys might be signing this lease with NORA within the next few weeks?
Yeah, we think so. I mean, we've negotiated most of the deal points, I think, for the lease that we're in agreement with already. I think there's some logistical elements to one, NORA getting the consents that they need to, they accepted the master plan, but now they have to actually get another approval to execute the lease. And we also have some logistics of how the financial flow goes that we'll work through in the next, hopefully in a couple of weeks. So, but the basic terms of the lease, our teams have already negotiated those. So, yeah, it should be soon.
What was NORA barking about a few months ago?
Well, originally, I mean, they wanted us to, I call it, they basically wanted us to work for them, and they wanted us to, they wanted to have approval authority over literally everything, every contractor, every business partner, and a whole bunch of other things, almost every step of the way. And we were like, no.
We're signing a lease with you, NORA. We're not partnering with you.
Yeah, so we had to get through that process, and that was where we hit a little snag. But we were real fortunate because Councilman Thomas got involved and really kind of helped break the logjam and really got NORA to see that it was in their best interest as well as the community's best interest to let a developer. And not now have every step of the way us working at the speed of government instead of the speed of business. And we were able to get that done successfully. So that'll be reflected in the lease.
Oliver Thomas handling this kind of for you.
Well, he's the district councilman.
No doubt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, he's the district councilman for these. Some folks say he's your cousin. I mean, I don't know. You and I might be cousins. Who knows?
We might be.
So I don't know if he's your cousin or not. I mean, do you?
No, he's not. I mean, but we grew up in the lower Ninth Ward, so if you know anything about the coach of the lower Ninth Ward, a lot of us call each other cousins because we're all
of course
lower Niners, but that's about the extent of it.
Now, we've talked about this before. You're a major player in WBOK radio. Oliver Thomas is a paid employee doing the morning show on WBOK radio.
No, he's not a paid employee. No, he's a contractor with a staffing company. We had to sort of have a third party because WBOK does business with the city of New Orleans. We couldn't have a direct equity media couldn't have a direct contract with the city of New Orleans and Oliver be an employee of them. So,
well, I get what you're saying, Mr. Attorney, but isn't it really he works for? I mean, that'd be like saying you don't have the janitorial contract at the airport. Your staffing company does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What I mean? That's what Jeff Landry's doing as running in this governor's race. He's saying He doesn't employ these Mexican workers at this LNG facility in Lake Charles. His staffing company does. But in essence, money from your pocket indirectly goes in Oliver Thomas's through the radio station. I think that's fair to say. Would it be better to have an at-large member, someone besides Oliver, go to bat for you guys in Bayou Phoenix?
I mean, that's a council matter. I think Oliver's passionate about the project. Remember, Oliver worked for WBOK before we bought the station, so we don't view it as a conflict, to be honest with you. Oliver doesn't get any commissions. He doesn't do anything, but he's paid by a third-party company, and he's been doing that job, a great job on the radio station for a long time. So we think it's much ado about nothing, and that's what we told the ethics committee, and we made some adjustments so that he could be compliant.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, for the radio gig, I get that. I mean, because I'm in radio. If I ran for council at large again, unlike last time, I would stay on the radio.
Yeah, you should.
Regardless of this, get the other candidates to sign the agreement. I mean, I had, Bourgeois and Jackie Clarkson and Cynthia Lewis all sign. This Michael Lewis, the author's brother in Uptown, this Uptown guy, when you get everyone else signing, I'll sign it. I'm like, really? You know, so the guy who got 300 votes made me get everyone else to sign before he would sign. No, I would blow off their rules and stay on the radio and do my show. I get the endorsement thing though, especially if you're an elected official. So I get the changes for the radio thing. Just personally, I mean, especially with Oliver, and I think Oliver's changed. I think that was 15 years ago, whatever. That might run for mayor. If I'm Oliver Thomas, I don't want to be involved. And if I'm a Troy Henry, I'm like, I'd rather get an at-large member because Oliver works for my radio station. That's all. That's just the perception of impropriety or the potential.
I mean, people are going to criticize, and my opinion is look, at the end of the day, it's about the development. It's not about the individuals that are involved, and we believe that we haven't done anything unethical, and Oliver knows, and we know that. Look, he gets paid to do a job, and that's it. And his job as a city council member is completely distinct and different from his job as a radio talent. So. Look, we appreciate the support. He's passionate about the project. So is Eugene Green. So are many of the council members. So I let them sort of decide who's going to take the lead on what aspects of this development. But I believe everybody is in support of what I believe is a transformative project called Bayou Phoenix.
I'll tell you what, the renderings, the thing that I think really is the backbone of this whole project are these athletic facilities. Just something that we lack. I mean, you talk to any parents with a couple of kids and they're getting in the SUV and the van and they're traveling to Austin or Hoover, Alabama, outside of Birmingham, and they have these state-of-the-art facilities, and we don't have anything like it. And Baton Rouge has better facilities than we have.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago, I was in Dallas with my boys are on a AAU travel basketball team, and we went to a facility in Dallas, and it was outstanding.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, there are probably 10 facilities in Metro. These high school stadiums they build are nice. It's like Yeoman Stadium for high school.
Yeah. One of the guys told me, he said there's 9 total in mega indoor sports facilities in the Dallas metro area.
Wow.
9. We don't have any.
No.
So, this is going to be a game changer. But what's unique about ours is the combination of the sports facility along with the hotels in the water park make this the potential for a really, really great destination for this region. And it doesn't exist anywhere else in the country where they've got this entire combination. So we envision the weekends will be very, very busy with travel tourism. And during the week, we think that the movie studios will help occupy some of the hotel rooms. And the sports complex we'll have agreements with some of the local municipalities, city of New Orleans, as well as maybe some of the other jurisdictions to do things during the week. But travel tourism is a big, sports and travel tourism is a big, big deal.
Plus you go to the facility in Indiana, you go into the Olive Garden, you're asleep by 9:00.
Yeah.
The kids go to the water park or go to the arcade and the parents go into town.
That's exactly right. I told people, I said, the biggest business boom that's going to happen, Corey, is the babysitting business, because mom and dad are going to go to the kids' games at Bayou Phoenix, and then they're going to want to sneak downtown, and they need somebody to watch them little ones. Huh?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Troy.
No, I just said then, somebody's going to want to watch the kids. They're going to want somebody to watch their kids while they sneak down.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's your next business, Corey. You got it?
No, babysitting. No, I'm seriously. That is definitely something that has got to be part of that plan. Hey, what's up with the original just public perception? Hey, we're going to need $1 million. Then it's 15 million. Now we're talking about 100 million in taxpayer money. You get Bass Pro Shop Cabela's. They're just breaking ground and they're rolling, and they may want some concessions from a city, some tax break, a TIF or something. But why 100 million now?
Well,
from maybe 20% of the project will be taxpayer finance. I don't want to pay for this.
It's unfortunate that the news media wants to sensationalize and really kind of misled the public as far as this $100 million number. First of all, we've always envisioned, and the city has always envisioned this being a public-private partnership. The city owns the land, and they have certain obligations as land rights to go along with it. But we envision state, city, as well as federal dollars that this site will qualify for. In addition to that, and we don't think that's going to add up to $100 million, but we do believe that the TIF and a special taxing district and things like that the participants of the site will have an opportunity to contribute, will be part of the government-sponsored funding that we'll be using. So the vast majority of it, we think, will be about 80% of it will be privately financed, but we're expecting, just like Spanish Plaza, just like the Four Seasons got, just like the Convention Center got, we're expecting some level of public participation as well in the process.
Yeah, I just don't know if the public knew that originally. But you're right. I mean, you mentioned these other projects that got some type of public participation.
Well, this was advertised in the RFP when we bid it. The city made it clear that they intended to be an investor, and they've not wavered on that, and we intend to take advantage of that, and we welcome it. There is risk, and so we don't want all of the risk to shift to us. And if we can get our public partners to also share some of the risk with us, that would be appreciated.
Hey, Troy, is a definitive plan financially in place, or is this sort of a kind of wing it? We kind of go as we go along. Like, I'll give you an example. You mentioned the Eastover redo of the golf course. In my mind, an architect would have been hired already. The designs would have been laid out. And this is what it's going to cost. And this is how much to do the Eastover golf course. That would have all been part of it, not just, hey, we want to redo the Eastover golf course.
Yeah, well,
is it the former or the latter with just that as an example?
Well, that's not part of this phase of our development, Eastover.
Gotcha. That's just a potential future, like that site next door to the 227 acres you might purchase.
Yes, the 227 acres are the focus. Corey, we have something else playing in my ear.
You have what?
There's a commercial playing in my ear now.
Oh, there's a commercial playing in your ear right now?
Yes.
That's so strange. Okay.
Ken Friend?
Yeah. No, that's weird. That's bleeding over right now with you. Okay. Hey, can I knock out this technical problem and come right back, Troy? I apologize.
Sure.
Let me do that. We'll be right back visiting with Troy Henry. Tree forward for more than 125 years. Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
Fausto's Italian Bistro and Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, WoodhouseSpas.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, fuller part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at Rouse's.com.
Troy, as part owner of a radio station, I guess you're familiar with technical difficulties sometimes. I apologize.
No problem, and yes, I am. I definitely am. So, not a problem, dude.
And Troy, the signal's down. No, that'll get you out of bed.
It sure will.
Yeah,
done that.
That'll bum you out. There's no doubt. We've all dealt with that in radio. So again, apologies. Hey, I didn't mean to cut you off with that, but what I was talking about was, I don't know, like if it's Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's or Flying J Truck Stop or Buc-ee's, like the Buc-ee's in Mississippi. They're going to come in, they're going to break ground, they're going to put the project in. We know exactly what it is. Yeah. We hear about the athletic facilities, the water park, the movie studio. Are you kind of winging it in the sense that, okay, we're going to start with these building blocks, and then we're going to see how gauge the interest, see if other investors want to be involved, and then these other things could potentially get built? Is that how this is working, or there is a full definitive plan and this is what you definitely get?
So there is a full definitive plan for the core offerings, which is the sports complex, the 2 hotels, the indoor and outdoor water park, the retail, and the movie studio. Those things are definite. Now, there ends up being another out parcel, that second parcel that we have not defined what's going to go there. So, and I think what most people are trying to get to is they're saying, okay, well, have you financed all of this? And first, let me just tell you, there's more people coming at us selling us money than we know what to do with. But we have to quantify exactly. We've got estimates with my buddies with TKTMJ. We've estimated what we think this will be, but the next step of this process is going to be to do the analysis that has to be done on the site to ensure that we understand what is restorable, what is reusable, and what needs to be demolished. And most people just think about what they see on the surface, But the real big questions are below the surface. Not only is it the wiring and gas lines and things like that, but most importantly is the pilings and the stress on what level of stress can the pilings, one, what's their condition? And then two, what level of stress can it take? So a set of pilings that may have held a ice cream shop, now can it hold a hotel, or can it hold part of a gym? Can it hold a water park? So that analysis will hopefully begin, probably 2-3 months after we
But Troy, it seems like that analysis should have been done already for you guys. Like, what if it comes up negative, that you abandon the project?
Well, we don't abandon it. You'll have to relocate things. And what we'll do, it'll end up deferring the timeline. For example, if we have to pull out all of the pilings as opposed to being able to augment the pilings, that alters the time frame. It doesn't alter the commitment level.
Gotcha. But it could affect the cost.
It could affect the cost. That's why people say, well, what's it going to cost? Well, we think it's $500 million when you add up all of the venues. But if we run into a significant roadblock, it could end up being more. Or we could get lucky and it could end up shaving a few dollars off. So that's the next phase of this is, in order to do something transformative like this, it's not I Dream a Genie, blink your eye, or Buc-ee's where you're just stamping out a one-of-a-kind on virgin land. This is not virgin land. This is land that was previously used. So there are steps that we have to take technically once we get access to it. Remember, we still don't have access to the property yet. So once we get access to it, that's the type of analysis that we will do while we're doing a bunch of other activities at the same time.
What are we looking at as far as some kid kicking a soccer ball out there? I heard something like 4 years, which seemed a little long considering we're already 2 years into this. That I don't know what it's called up in Indiana. You've probably been there and are familiar with it. That huge complex in Indiana, they did it in 18 months.
Yeah, and ours is a little different. We've been telling everyone it's a 42-month time frame, but that's for all the venues. That's hotels, that's water park, that's everything. We believe 42 months is sort of from the date of the lease.
Yep.
So that's what we believe. That's our best estimate at this point in time.
Hey, are you cannibalizing Mackey's film studio across from the Plaza, the old Sam's Walmart site on the lake side of Reed and I-10? Because we haven't seen any ground broken there. I mean, can we have so many film studios in New Orleans East? Is it cannibalization maybe?
Well, we're going to partner with Elvin Ross and E-Ross Studios. Most people know Elvin. He's an Emmy Award-winning guy, and he is sort of I like to call it Tyler Perry's right-hand man, right? So,
wow.
I've got to believe that Elvin has got a vision for this studio, for not only for movies and streaming shows.
You get one or two of Tyler Perry's buildings on that old military site in South Atlanta that he built. You're styling.
Oh yeah, I've been to
that place. Is ridiculous, huh?
It's impressive.
That should have been in New Orleans. I mean, the Andrew Youngs, the Tyler Perrys in Atlanta. I mean, I'm not dogging them. It just makes me sick, man.
Yeah. So we're hopeful that we're going to lease the dirt to Elvin Ross, and he's going to build his studio and his business case. So we won't really have an ownership stake in that portion of the development. So that'll be the first thing that'll come out of the ground once we've done all of the physical site analysis. We know that dirt is already surcharged. So that'll be the first thing. It's the other areas and the other venues that will require a little bit more time because of the structural analysis that has to go on.
Hey, we got about 30 seconds, Troy. Who are the other Ross-type players involved? Who are the major partners? I mean, TKTMJ, we don't know we know that's a developer, but I mean like the Tyler Perry's right-hand man. Any other people you can mention that are like that?
Not at this point in time. I mean, I can tell you that we're talking from a hotel standpoint, we're talking to some major flags, and we're making a decision on whether we want to flag it or have our own brand. But the other companies that we're talking to, we'll probably make, after the lease is done, we'll make 3 announcements. One is the studio operator. The second one will be the hotel and water park operator, and the third one will be the sports complex operator. And those three will help us kind of craft and design the gory details to the detail architecture plans that will go in place.
There's Blue Boy Bark and Troy. That's a reminder. Hey, Corey, be quiet. You're heading to the top of the hour.
Hey, thanks for having me, Corey.
Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's Blue Boy.
You're
See you in a second, everyone.
Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 5 p.m. Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see. What about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Here's New Orleans native son, Corey Johnson.
New Orleans City Councilman Freddie King joins us.
So I want to first say thanks for having me. And believe it or not, man, I used to listen to your show all the time driving home. So it's an honor to be on.
Freddie, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the program. Thanks.
The official afternoon talk show of the city of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground, where New Orleans is heard.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, let us steer you right. Helm Paint and Supply.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process, of a custom-made piece. I have a test that says if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
One of my all-time favorite cartoons growing up as a child. My God, Johnny Quest was so good. I mean, you parents that had kids in the 60s or 70s, you should be thankful you could sit next to your child and watch Johnny Quest as an adult and be fairly entertained. Such great creative stuff. And like the Jetsons, ahead of their time, coming up with things that the future would bring to us. Technology and the like. Oh, here comes the laser. They're throwing their swords at the steel door of the plane. Oh, I got a good trivia question, Jason. I just thought of it. 50 big bucks at the Woodhouse Day Spa can be yours. What did Haji used to say to make Bandit levitate? Haji had brain powers. He could make objects levitate, float off of the ground. But he would say something, I guess, in Indian, or it was supposed to be in Indian. Is Indian a language, Jason? Oh boy, I'm going on. Yeah-ish. Yeah. Boy. Too many variations, I'm sure. Anyway, what did Haji in Johnny Quest used to say to make Bandit or other objects levitate off the ground? He'd shut his eyes, he'd focus, and say three things, and all of a sudden, whoop, floating up in the air. If you got the answer to that, I got 50 big bucks for you at one of the 5 area Woodhouse Day Spa locations, 2 on the South Shore, 2 on the North Shore. They're by the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge. Hey, if you missed the 4 o'clock hour, you missed a lot. Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry joined us for about 35 minutes, breaking down all kind of different stuff with that Six Flags Bayou Phoenix development. You'll want to check that out. Interesting, to say the least. Could be a $500 million deal. I still think, we talked about all kind of stuff. The dysfunctional city of New Orleans, the local folks. He laughed when I mentioned DeMario Davis and Drew Brees were the runner-ups to the project. He laughed. So there's a lot of typical New Orleans nonsense with this deal. Troy Henry knows it. Troy Henry is smart. And Troy Henry has a staffing agency, and that is a broad general term. And Troy Henry knows how the city of New Orleans politics works. And he works through that system. And you've got to be a local. You've got to have people on the inside. You got to know how to juggle the bowling pins while riding a unicycle, and someone's lighting those pins on fire. And by the way, they want you to bunny hop the unicycle through a hoop at the same time. Anyway, pretty interesting stuff. If you missed it, it'll be on YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, Spotify shortly. Troy Henry Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer, joining us last hour. Ed Michel last hour, 4 o'clock, released. He mentioned this on the show last week when we had the Office of Inspector General, the IG, on the show, Ed Michel. An evaluation of the Plaza Tower and enforcement of minimum property maintenance code. Talks about the owner of the Plaza Tower, not mentioning Joe Yeager by name, but that is the owner. And basically how the city from 2015 to 2021 has not used the power it has to enforce the code, to penalize Joe Yeager or the previous owners of the Plaza Tower. So an interesting Ed Michel, Office of Inspector General report. You got to love Ed Michel, this Office of Inspector General. Folks that question him or Rafael Goyeneche with the Metropolitan Crime Commission, these watchdogs that are looking out for us, you have to question the folks that question them. Because chances are, I'm serious, anyone that would be critical of Ed Michel or Rafael Goyeneche in any way critical of what they do either is deviant, is a criminal themselves, has been busted in the past, has a shady reputation, bends towards the deviant side, not the righteous side. No, in New Orleans, thank God. Seriously, thank God for Ed Michel, a Bob Sarasoli type IG that goes for it. Thank God for honest, hardworking Rafael Goyeneche exposing problems that we have in our city. No, thank God for those guys. Yeah, Ed Michel joined us on Thursday last week, mentioned that this release today about the Plaza Tower, but also a review of the efficiency and the effectiveness of the procedures in place that the NOPD and the city of New Orleans use to recruit and retain policemen. Ed Michel did that report. Scrutinizing what the city does. I mean, my God, you have to be an insane citizen. You have to be in the loop, part of the problem, to not be into all of this. Like, oh, I trust the city. I'm sure they're doing self-evaluation. I'm sure they're run efficiently. I'm sure they spend our tax dollars effectively. My God, the only overt kind of in-your-face, office, administration, city entity that we see, the Sewage and Water Board. It rains really bad, we flood. We get affected by that. All those other city agencies, I'm sure, are run just like that or worse. Sewage and Water Board's improving under Ghassan Corbin. No, thank God for the Office of Inspector General scrutinizing city government, looking for fraud, waste, abuse. It's our money. You want someone overlooking how it's being spent. You don't want to trust the folks in city government. Are you insane? You'd have to be insane to trust city government in New Orleans, anywhere. And the people that we elect, they should welcome an OIG is scrutinizing what they do. What do you have to hide? It's our money. We too often side with like the Hilario Edwin Edwards types, the Bill Jeffersons. Oh, they're deviants, but that's how it works. No, that isn't how they work. They're deviants. They're criminals. It's not a good thing. Hey, let's head to the phone lines. Yeah, Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry. That was a good interview in the 4 o'clock hour. Interesting stuff he had to say. Got a Trump poll for Iowa for you. Plus, we're going to talk a little Metairie, Jefferson Parish politics. Who's the kingmaker in that parish? I'll tell you who, and it might surprise you or maybe won't surprise you at all. Let's head to the Rouse's Markets phone lines, 504-766-9480. We're heading to Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Kevin joins us on the program.
What up, Corey?
Kevin, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well this afternoon.
Can I sell you a wood nickel?
What's that?
Can I sell you a wood nickel? Can I sell you a wood nickel?
I'd prefer some swampland.
Okay, if you buying that interview you just heard, man, I know you not. I know you better than that. I don't know you personally, but I know you smarter than that. That thing is not going anywhere, man. That Bayou Phoenix, that is not going nowhere. Same as Plaza Tower. That's not going anywhere. They need to implode that whole building. That landlord that owns Plaza Tower Name me one thing that he's ever developed from ground up.
The Jung Hotel on Canal Street and about 20 other properties. Joe Yeager, I think, is a good guy. And Joe Yeager was cruising along, Kevin. Joe Yeager had everything in New Orleans hotels. I think 99.9% of the time in life, you're like, that's fine. Then Corona hit, and it crushed his entire portfolio. And Joe Yeager went from a powerful developer, with a lot of wherewithal and cash flow to the dead opposite, Kevin. I'm not defending it. I'm just telling you what went down. You asked, what has he developed? A lot. Joe Yeager was like a plumber and turned him. He's pretty self-made, but I'm not trying to take up for him. The Plaza Tower is a nightmare.
I know about it. MCC, I know about that. The Jung Hotel, whatever you call it on Canal Street, he redeveloped. That's about the only thing that man ever done.
Hundreds of millions of dollars redeveloping that. But no, Kevin, you're right. The Poland Avenue old naval site, he's got control of that. Nothing done there. The power plant, sold it to the River District folks that never materialized. But again, I'm not defending the guy. I'm just telling you reality. Had cash flow. Everyone is lending you money. Buy anything you want. We believe in you. You got a track record. And then Corona hits and crushes his empire, which was based off of 20-plus hotels, hospitality in New Orleans.
I'm going to say this here. If his name is on any development, it's not happening. It's not happening. That Bayou Phoenix is not happening. If you believe that's going to happen, hey, I'm sorry for you. New Orleans is in trouble.
Kevin in Texas, thanks so much for the phone call. That's why Kevin's in Texas, by the way.
Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants. Leidenheimer French bread.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet. Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line. Lebanon's Cafe.
With 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
when a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? He said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Need air conditioning help? NOLAAC.com's all you need to know. River City's total maintenance. NOLAAC.com. Honest air conditioning experts that come right now. You need AC help? NOLAAC.com's all you need to know. Let's head back to the Rouse's Markets phone lines. Area code 504-766-9480. Rouse's Markets phone lines, 766-9480. Sabitris in Metairie joins us, a.k.a. New Orleans West, home of traffic. Lots and lots of traffic. Sabitris, what's going on in Metairie?
It's hot.
Yeah, geez and Pete's, it is. And it doesn't seem to be going away. Another brutally hot day. But not today wasn't so bad, actually. 90, lower humidity, cloud cover. But, yeah, we're supposed to creep up to like 101 on Wednesday and Thursday. 101. Ouch.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's on your mind, Sabitris? What's that? Uh-oh, you're breaking up a little bit. What's that?
Oh, no.
Oh, there you are. I got you now. What'd you say?
I called to answer the question.
Oh, for the trivia question.
Yes.
How do you know the answer to that, Sabitris? You're too young to know Johnny Quest. I got you. You didn't use Google or Yahoo, did you?
No, I didn't.
How do you have an answer to this?
From my dad.
All right. How old's your dad?
My dad was born 63.
Oh, all right. Gotcha. He's right there?
Yes.
He liked Johnny Quest like me, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Now, Sabitris, does the answer kind of start with the same sound as your name a little? That sound? What did Haji used to say to get Bandit the dog or other objects to levitate off the ground?
Beam, salabim.
You are correct.
Yeah, you right. Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
Your dad's a good man, Sabitris, to know that Johnny Quest like that. That's exactly. He shut his eyes and goes, seam, salabim. And then Bandit, and he'd be floating up in the air. Your dad just got you 50 big bucks at the Woodhouse Day Spa.
All right.
Now, are you you're calling from Metairie? They have a Metairie location, West Esplanade at Transcontinental, also Mid-City, New Orleans, Carrollton at Canal Street. So whatever's convenient to you, Sabitris.
Okay, thank you so much.
Seam, Salabim. Good job, Dad. Hang on, okay, Sabitris? Excellent work. What does Haji say to get Bandit to levitate from Johnny Quest? Seam, Salabim. Good job, Sabitris and Metairie. Love it. I'm not the only person out there that remembers these weird, crazy things. Sabitris's dad's like me. Grew up on that Johnny Quest stuff. I was born in the mid-'60s. Sabitris's dad, early 60s. Seam, Salabim. Yeah, happy to give Sabitris 50 big bucks to the Woodhouse with that answer. Love it. Hey, if you missed the 4 o'clock hour, we had Troy Henry on for about 40 minutes, 35 minutes, the Six Flags Bayou Phoenix developer. You know, Troy, I don't blame Troy Henry. Troy Henry is an opportunistic guy. He has a, quote, staffing agency. Any opportunity where money is involved and Troy Henry thinks he can put something together, handle it like the janitorial services at the airport, he's going to do it. This guy has an engineering degree from Stanford. I don't blame smart Troy Henry for any of this. Troy Henry even laughs when I mention the runner-ups, DeMario Davis and Drew Brees. He laughs because he knows it's sort of a joke. And then Troy Henry, he's like, yeah, it's the city of New Orleans. I know how to navigate all this crap. And no one else is going to go after this project nationwide. He said that during the interview. New Orleans, essentially, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, New Orleans' crappy rep kept people away. And he claimed New Orleans marketed it nationally. I disagree with that. I don't think the city hired a firm and went nationally with a great firm that's going to approach the Bass Pro Shops, Cabela folks, Disney, Flying J Truck Stop, Buc-ee's, whatever. I'm just coming. I'm a talk radio TV guy. I haven't even thought about it or researched it much. There's probably a dozen or two viable entities that you'd go after and proactively push that corner. The city never did that. I-10, I-510 corner. City never did that. Anyway, Troy Henry now, about 20% of the project's going to be taxpayer financed. He says, you name the project in New Orleans, Four Seasons, whatever. Taxes, you know, the public helped. He's right. But to the tune of 20% or $100 million? I think Troy Henry's smart. I think he knows how the city operates. He got the deal. I think it's sort of a wing it type of thing. They're going to go along as it goes. Who's ready to do this? Where can we get the financing? Who is going to want to do this and control this? Who wants to build this? Who are we going to partner with? And then momentum's going to build, and they're going to have the sports fields to start, and then maybe a hotel developer pops up, and then maybe a restaurant, and it's just going to be a thing like that. And this could take 5, 7, 8, 10, 12 years before any kind of real momentum where people in New Orleans East see a return on this. Where, like, if Bass Pro Shop Cabela's were building, you know, some 700,000 square foot, multi-million dollar, you know, tens of millions, maybe $100 million facility there, it'd get done in 18 months. Buc-ee's will be operating on Menge Avenue exit off of I-10 in Mississippi in a year and a half. Open, the Buc-ee's will be open. That sports complex in Indiana, the big major one in the middle of nowhere that attracts folks from all over, they went from ground zero to opening it up in 18 months. Talk to Troy Henry about all of that stuff. And I'm not mean. I'm not vindictive. I'm not attacking Troy Henry. I don't think he's doing anything wrong, but I'm going to question him, and I'm not going to hold back, and I'm not, you know, towing the company line, appeasing, placating. Anyway, I think you'll find it interesting. I'm very skeptical on a lot of things about the Six Flags project. A lot of things. Ed Michel, Office of Inspector General, releasing a Plaza Tower report, evaluation of Plaza Tower and enforcement of minimum property maintenance code from 2015 to 01. Ed Michel's talking about the city could have fined Joe Yeager and the previous owner about $1 million up to this point. And the city has incurred a few $100,000 in expenses up to this point. From 2015 to 2021 was the evaluation. We're in 2023. The Plaza Tower saga continues. Des Moines Register NBC News poll, 5 months from the Iowa caucus. That's mid-January of next year. Trump, 42%. DeSantis, 19%. Tim Scott, 9%. Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, around 5% each. Got an interesting Metairie political Jefferson Parish politics. Interesting Times-Picayune piece talking about Scott Walker, Dominic Impastato race, the Jennifer Van Vranken and Ricky Template race, Greg Buson, Kingmaker and Jefferson. Derek Shepard can't run against Byron Lee. Derek Shepard, school board member, Jefferson Parish, lives in Mississippi. Derek Shepard, just deviant. I don't know what it is. Just there's a path you take. You know, it's like Cleo Fields or whatever. Bill Jefferson, Ilario, 15 years old, 18 years old, 20, 30. I don't know where. The path of being a deviant or the path of being a righteous person. They chose the path of the deviant. Derek Shepard's just a deviant by nature. Can't help himself. Who is Jefferson Parish's biggest political influence? It ain't Greg Buson. I can promise you that. Greg Buson is someone politicians hired to run their campaign, to tell them the angle. He's very effective at this. Greg Buson used to run Fox 8. I worked for him. He knows what he's doing. He understands how people think. Comes from that mode, from that angle. But who is Jefferson Parish's most political influencer or most influential? It could be talk radio host Newell Norman, the old sheriff. That he ran while on radio, ran Cynthia Lee Shang's campaign. Like Harry Lee before him, Newell Norman was not only the sheriff, more of a politician than the sheriff. Joe Lapinto's different. Like Newell Norman and like Harry Lee, Joe Lapinto has a law degree. All three of these sheriffs have law degrees. Pretty impressive. But Lapinto is more interested in being a sheriff, shies away from the spotlight, doesn't appear to be into the political thing. I think if Joe Lapinto had to run for sheriff and it was a competitive race every time, Joe Lapinto would cease being sheriff. I don't want to get into this politics. I don't want to go out and raise money. I want to be sheriff. I think Newell Norman was more of like a kingmaker like Harry Lee, more political than sheriff. And still to this day, one of the most influential folks in Jefferson Parish politics. I mean, I'm not knocking Greg Buson. I know the guy. He's powerful. He has influence. There's no doubt. But, I mean, you're going to compare Greg Buson and Newell Norman, not even mentioned in the Times-Picayune article? I mean, just Times-Picayune, you got to do better than that. Not even mentioned? And it's going to be about Greg Buson? You kidding me? The kingmakers in Jefferson Parish are laughing at that article. The political folks in Jefferson Parish are laughing at that column. That Greg Buson's the kingmaker of Jefferson. Greg Buson's laughing at that column. Hey, they're closed tomorrow, but they're open till 9:30 tonight. I'm talking about Lebanon's Cafe, some of the finest Middle Eastern food in Metro New Orleans. Lebanon's Cafe, shish kebab, lamb chops, all your favorite Middle Eastern sides. Wednesday through Monday, they'll roll till 9:30 tonight. Closed tomorrow. Why don't you head on over tonight? Lebanon's Cafe, so good. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon, where New Orleans talks, telling it like it is each and every day, never holding back. You know who I work for? You. Isn't that refreshing? The citizens. That's all I care about. I don't have any agenda. I have some bosses or corporate folks that I have to worry about, someone telling me what angle my show needs to be in. I work down the dial at the big station. I used to have the boss come in. She'd yell at me all the time. I ignored her all the time. You want to know why? If she was a righteous person that knew what she was talking about, had my best interest in the station at heart, I'd listen all day long. But when you have an agenda, when you're trying to stifle me, when you don't know radio, when you don't know programming, when it's all these skeletons in the closet and, boy, we fire her, she'd go ballistic on us. We better just leave her alone. That's not the person I'm going to listen to. I listen to a lot of people that are in radio and television, or understand radio and television and even aren't in the business all the time. And I would listen to someone not in the business that knows what they're talking about and has a fair, objective criticism that I can learn and grow from over that person any day of the week. The person with the agenda, no, she'd come in and yell at me. I'd laugh like in her face sometimes. And then sometimes I just say something like, I'm an adult too. I'm not really responding to this yelling thing, just not even listening, because right away, just a whacked agenda. So even when I had bosses that were telling me the wrong thing, I wasn't listening. And luckily, I'm sort of my own boss, or the people that are in ultimate control are like, leave Corey alone. He knows what he's doing. He's honorable. He's ethical. He does the right thing. He holds people accountable. He's not a sellout. Understands the responsibility of the microphone and the camera in front of him. Hey, Leitrim, the global manufacturing giant, is hiring. What a company. They're like on a 30, 40-year tear. All they do is grow and expand all around the world. But it makes sense. They invented the shrimp peeling machine back in 1949. To this day, still the industry standard around the world. That led to the all-plastic modular conveyor belt. Industry standard around the world. The Lapierre stair, the alternating tread stair. Industry standard around the world. This is a New Orleans born, bred, based company. Leitrim. Go to their website to check them out. Leitrim.com. Leitrim spelled L-A-I-T-R-A-M. Leitrim.com. Or better yet, a culture of innovation at Leitrim, and they're hiring. East Bank, West Bank, North Shore folks. They got you covered. Go to Leitrim.com for a full listing of positions available. Dozens and dozens and dozens of jobs at Leitrim.com.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes are magazine, as unique as you.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Cotton Bowl winning coach Willie Fritz joining us on the program. Have you ever been part of a game that great?
A lot of things happen in the game. You just don't know the script. You got to adapt to improvise. You just got to keep playing hard the whole time, and our guys did an excellent job of that.
How big is yesterday for the overall future of the program?
You got to have the guys that really have a burning desire to get a quality education and also be a great football player. You got to have focus.
You've always have embraced New Orleans. You've been a great ambassador for the city, for Tulane University.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. My wife and I just love it here in New Orleans. And just everybody, the city's just sensational. We just a dime for a person who came up to me after game. I had tickets in the old Tulane Stadium. And, I've heard that a ton of times. And then, that's good that we were able to make some people happy.
That's Willie Fritz joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Roll away.
The spirit of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Leitrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Leitrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Leitrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Hey, why aren't you at Katie's right now? The perfect wind down your day spot. Of course, lunch and dinner Monday through Saturday, brunch on Sunday. As New Orleans as it gets. In Mid-City, the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. Go check them out. Katie's in Mid-City, corner Iberville and Talamacas. Couple of blocks behind Angelo Bricato's ice cream joint. More is better, more of the good things. Katie's in Mid-City, Monday afternoon edition of the program. If you missed the 4 o'clock hour, you missed a lot. Six Flags, Bayou Phoenix developer Troy Henry joined us for about 40 minutes, asking and answering all kinds of questions. I was asking. He was answering all kinds of questions. I think you'll find it interesting. You can check it out on YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. Hey, they opened their doors for dinner about 45 minutes ago. They'll roll till 9 p.m. tonight. Some of the best Sicilian and Italian. Fausto's Italian Bistro and Vets. easy parking, great service, great Sicilian and Italian. They're open till 9 tonight for dinner. Have you been? Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. So good. It is a Monday afternoon, a little after 5:30. Brett Martel joins us from the Associated Press. Another Martel Monday. What's happening, Brett?
Hey, Corey, how are you?
Doing well. Yourself?
Good. Yep.
The hottest, driest summer that I can remember in New Orleans continues.
Yeah, it's been tough, but I've been managing to get out there and still, like you, try to get a few rounds in. And, they say that if you're able to spend a few hours a day outdoors, even in the heat, your body becomes more acclimatized. And so maybe, 18 holes is just the right amount of time.
Yep. No, exactly. Lots of fluids, lots of water, electrolytes, whatever. You got to stay on top of that. It can be dangerous. People are fainting, passing out. You got to really stay on top of it if you are going to be outside. And yeah, the health things about just being outside, or I don't know, I believe they're pretty accurate and proven. Sitting inside all the time, not good. You got to experience the weather, the outdoor air, all that. I think just physically, mentally makes you better. How is this weather, this heat and dryness affecting Saints training camp? Because, Brett, we're not talking, low to mid 90s, feels like high 90s. Those kind of things are players getting carted off the field, IVs occasionally, that type of thing. We're talking a feels like temperature of could be 10, 12, 15, 20 degrees hotter than a normal Saints training camp. How's that affecting the Saints, and what are they doing to, stay on top of it?
Well, they're having to, when they are outside, they're having to take a lot of breaks. They have that cooling trailer where the players can go in and cool off in between periods. Say like when special teams is working, some of the offensive and defensive linemen can go in there and cool off. They go inside a lot more, which has meant fewer opportunities for fans to be out there watching. Even when they had it open to fans, they shortened the amount of time they were spending outdoors, which they did. They said for the health of both the players and the fans.
Yeah, literally. No.
Yeah.
Now I remember those LSU games at Tiger Stadium early September, pulling people out, on stretchers and stuff because they're dehydrated. Hey, Brett, when the Saints, it's really nice. It's what Tulane wants to be able to do seamlessly on a moment's notice, go from an outdoor practice to an indoor facility. The Saints have it right there. Is it always, black and white, like we're either practicing outside or we're either practicing inside? Have you ever seen a Saints practice where in the middle of it, they say, guys, too hot, let's head inside and finish up the second half of practice inside?
Yeah, they absolutely do that. And they have one of the lightning indicators like you see on a golf course with the siren. If the radar picks up a lightning strike within a certain number of miles,
yep,
the horn goes off and they run off the field. And usually if they're in the middle of practice, they run straight to the indoor field and set back up and keep going. And it's good that they can do that. But, this week, for example, the Saints were supposed to host
the Texans
practices with the Texans, and they canceled them.
Yep.
And I guess the primary reason was that the Texans have a lot of injuries. But, we might get more answers on this in the future. But the thing is, again, it's supposed to be very hot this week. And the Saints have, 2 outdoor grass fields plus an outdoor turf field. They have 1 indoor turf field.
Right.
And that's not a lot of space for 2 full football teams to have practice. And so you got to think that in addition to some of the things that have been mentioned, the forecast for that heat dome to continue over the New Orleans area and the room on just 1 indoor practice field at Saints camp had something to do too with, the logistics of that had something to do with them just deciding, let's not have the joint practices and cram both teams into 1 indoor field.
Is there talk of adding more fields at the facility or even at the LaSalle track next door? where maybe even Jefferson Parish could use it. And then I hear there's talk of maybe training camp not going to be in Metairie next year.
Yeah, I don't think, I think that, it used to be that just one indoor practice field was considered on the luxurious end. The Saints obviously built that during the Hazlitt era. I don't think they would build a second now.
Because here's the problem, Brett, if what you're saying, and it's probably mostly Houston's injuries, but if the Saints, first off, if they're at a training facility, they'd be working with the team nearby, like the old Cheese League. They'd work with the Vikings in Mankato, or the Vikings would come to La Crosse, or they'd go to Eau Claire and work with the Bears, or the Bears would go to La Crosse, or whatever other participants in the Cheese League, Green Bay, whatever. The Texans are a natural, 5 hours right down the I-10. But if the Saints don't have the fields and facilities like to do this year in, year out, with the preseason down to 3 games, and potentially it could go down to 2 in the future, these during the week scrimmages are working with the other team, like, before the preseason game, working with the Chargers, this Texans practice. I think those are key for evaluating for the coaches when you don't have the 4 preseason games, and in the future, it may go down to 2.
Right. Well, that could happen. And I think that's, again, part of the reason why the Saints are really looking at ways to get out of New Orleans during training camp. Because, it's just the ability to practice outdoors and have the players have to deal with the elements, but not in a way that's so unhealthy that you just have to go into climate control all the time.
It's just funny. Brett, I get it, but it's sort of like, Democrat, Republican, fraternities, sororities on college camp. It's like trendy. They're in, they're not in. Training camp at the Saints facility. Tom Benson might build a hotel right next door for the players. Then it's, hey, we got to go somewhere else. They've won on the road having camp. They've won having camp in Metairie. I don't know if all this is overblown or not. I don't know. Other teams seem to have their camps in hot places, so I don't know.
Yeah, since I've covered the Saints, their best seasons have all taken place when they had camp in Metairie, except one, which was 2006, the first season under Peyton at Millsaps. They did great that year, but they were also at Millsaps for a 7-9 season and an 8-8 season.
And Millsaps is no climate change. You're not going to Wisconsin. Millsaps, right. Thibodaux, none of those are. You got to go to California. Right. You got to go to Wisconsin. The Greenbrier, I don't think a resort for an NFL team is the best thing. I think the dorms at La Crosse were better, but especially for team building and camaraderie and all that. But going to Millsaps or whatever, that's not any kind of climate break.
No, that wasn't a climate break at all. That was a total toughness thing. And they had double sessions back then. But, to finish the point, I think, the second and third seasons at Millsaps were 500 or worse, and the 3 seasons at Greenbrier were 7-9. The best seasons they really had, 09, 11, 13, and 17 through 20, they had training camp in Metairie all of those years.
The 3 Greenbrier seasons were the 7-9 in a row, the 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should stay the hell away from the Greenbrier, That was all Peyton, the girlfriend from West Virginia, all that crap. That's what that was.
No, the facilities were really good.
Of course, it's the Greenbrier. Yeah, it's plush. Yeah. It's nice.
But don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see, the Saints go back there if it's available next year. Just because they know the lay of the land there.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking they want something a little more raw than luxurious. But, that's just from afar. I have no idea what the Saints are thinking one bit, Brett. Hey, Jimmy Graham, what was that situation all about in L.A.? The first thing you hear, you get very nervous. Like, Jimmy Graham is done as a Saint. But that doesn't appear to be the case at all, because the assumptions maybe weren't right by a lot of people on social media especially. What's up with Jimmy Graham, Brett?
Well, it's not clear yet because it wasn't discussed very much after last night's game, and they were off today. But we're going to find out, I think, a lot more maybe tomorrow. We'll see if he's at practice, how much he participates this week. see if we can get a few more answers as to what was, found out. But I think that it raises some interesting questions, and not just for his football career. I mean, his hobby, right, is flying airplanes. And if he really did have a medical emergency that just came on randomly, like a seizure and so forth, that kind of medical history can affect your pilot's license, So it's not something I think they would just make up as a cover-up, because the consequences would affect him beyond football.
Right.
And so, we just got to find out a little more about it, what's really happening, and you get a few more questions answered.
Brett Martel's with us from the Associated Press. You learn anything, Brett, from the game during the monsoon hurricane?
Well, I'm glad that there was no real bad, off the field fallout from either of those two instances. It seemed like a pretty questionable decision, but they got through it.
Yep. Major League Baseball and other sports were canceled, but NFL plowing ahead with that preseason game. And that stadium, although has a roof, as you know, it's an open-air stadium. They say some fans, just by the design, they really didn't think about this because it doesn't rain that much in L.A. They get about 15 inches a year. When it does rain and the wind's blowing, people in the stadium get wet.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So they're trying to work on that.
It's not. Yeah, it's covered, but it's not indoors.
Right.
And why would you build it indoors?
You don't need it. I mean, most people don't even have air conditioning in LA.
Yeah. So, interesting situation there. But overall, look, the performance for the preseason. I mean, you can't read too much in the preseason, but
nope.
There was some promising performances there. There was the first round pick. Very opportunistic, he was in the backfield, got on a fumble. Jay Kaner made some nice throws. He continues to look very impressive for an undersized rookie.
QB,
the most important thing out of that game was Kendra Miller coming back from injury and showing that he can do Alvin Kamara-like things, laying out for that big catch that set up his own touchdown run. That's going to be huge because when Kamara is suspended for 3 games, you would expect Kendra Miller to be getting more touches. And that, to me, was really the lead angle if I was writing that game story.
Boy, Brett, college football season, ridiculously exciting. I mean, the NFL is going to be exciting. Saints and the optimism, the old coach Sean Payton in Denver following that indirectly. But the college season, I mean, equal, if not even surpassing the pros. Number 24, Tulane. That's right. Tulane, for the first time in their history, a preseason football ranking in both polls, 23 in the coaches, 24 in the AP. They play a week from this Saturday, Brett, against South Alabama, opening the season. Highly anticipated season for Willie Fritz's Green Wave.
Yeah, and if you talk to Tulane, I mean, I think they would have liked to have been ranked higher than 24th. But at the same time, though, it allows them to have a little bit of chip on the shoulder and the understanding that they still got to prove it as a mid-major.
Yep.
But they are the only non-Notre Dame, non-major power conference team in the top 25.
Nice. Nice.
Right. They're the only ones. I mean, everybody else is Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, right, ACC, Notre Dame, et cetera. So of the rest of the conferences, Tulane is ranked the highest. And they have a lot to look forward to this season. They lost some key guys. It's a team game, and they're really strong up front on the defensive and offensive line. They're the favorite to win the conference.
No, and you got a returning quarterback who's changed coordinators every year he plays. Now he's got a back-to-back same coordinator, understands the system, confident. Can't wait to watch some Tulane games. They start a week from Saturday. LSU a week from Sunday against Florida State, 5th-ranked team in the country. We've talked about it before, Brett. Brian Kelly, just what the doctor ordered.
Right, LSU number 5, and just Kelly's second season. The talk around Baton Rouge is, can he become the 3rd Scott Woodward hire to win it all in the second season? After the baseball and women's basketball teams did so with their new coaches, Mulkey and Jay Johnson. And so That's a lot to ask, frankly.
Yeah.
Competitive in major college football.
No, but they're probably one of 10, 12 teams that legitimate folks that follow college, they have a shot to win the national title. I mean, anybody can, I guess, and someone's going to come from outside and win it. But most folks that follow it, half a dozen, 10, 12 teams, you're going to come up with. LSU's in everybody's pick, everybody's
right. That's why they're ranked fifth. We'll see what happens. They start in Orlando against number 8 Florida State.
Florida State is loaded with talent too. I was looking at a top 100 all college player list, like the best college active players, not recruits, players on rosters, and Florida State's loaded with them, just like LSU is. Should be a great contest. Hey, Brett, real quick, how can we find your stuff on the AP?
At apnews.com on a laptop or the AP News app, which is free on a smartphone, and that gives you news from all over the world.
Always a pleasure, Brett Martel. Thank you.
Take care, Corey.
That's Brett Martel, over 25 years with the AP, covering sports for you locally. That's Blue Boys saying, see you mañana.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson. On TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube. On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.